Pricing is a very dynamic thing in India. It depends on a lot of inputs. One of them being, of course, the competitive situation in the market, and the other is also, of course, the cost of our operations. So depending on, for example, what happens to the pricing of spectrum, you might see changes in pricing. But we will always be competitive, and we have, I think, shown that this year by increasing our revenue market share and actually taking 29% of the additional available revenue in the market. We have, as Vodafone, always been asking for auctioning of spectrum, so the principle is agreed. But if you restrict the supply in the auction too much, then in the end you don't get a real market price. So what needs to happen is please make a lot of spectrum available and don't put up the reserve price at the level of the last auction, because that doesn't make any sense. That was very specific spectrum which was auctioned, the 3G spectrum 2 years ago, and that is also in a way for operators, we've seen that all over the world, very special spectrum where they're willing to pay a high price for. It doesn't mean that every additional spectrum coming to the market can be treated in the same way. So please give us a real auction, give us enough spectrum, and put the reserve price lower, and let the market decide what then the right price for that specific spectrum is. The shareholders and the board of Vodafone India have decided to start preparations for an IPO. Now, of course, doing an IPO for a company that has never been listed takes physical preparation, and we're doing that while we speak. But at the same time, we also need some certainty around the valuation of the business, and of course pricing and availability of spectrum is a very important issue for every operator. So that needs to be at least resolved partly before we can move on with the IPO.